All right, so we're back with Exercise Science Lab. The exercise library exercise of the day is a push-up, but specifically the eccentric push-up and the bottoms-up push-up. So we've talked about push-ups and modified push-ups and a lot of those in the other labs. We've broken those down. We've done a jam analysis in other classes. Today, though, we specifically talked about doing eccentric contractions with push-ups, and we talked about doing bottoms-up push-ups. Okay, so we reviewed these also when we did the FMS testing, the functional movement screen, which is a tougher, trunk stability push-up, which is changing your center of gravity. I'm doing that, remember, because instead of doing a regular push-up here, we're up higher, which makes it a tougher push-up. But what I find is that a lot of my athletes and clients can't even do a regular push-up. So that's why we talked about an eccentric push-up, and that's why we talked about the bottoms-up. First, the eccentric push-up. Remember, the example I gave is if I'm trying to increase my bench press, let's say I can bench press 300 pounds, but I want to build up to 315. One of the things I can do is load 315 on the bar, which I cannot handle concentrically, right? I cannot move 315 pounds, but I can control it. Remember, concentric contractions cause movement, whereas, my camera's a little tilted, let me fix that. Whereas my concentric contraction causes movement, where my eccentric contraction controls movement. So maybe I can't cause movement with the barbell with 350 pounds on, but I can control it from the top to the bottom, okay? That helps me build strength. If we're gonna work only on eccentric strength, that will carry over to our concentric force production, if that makes sense. We've talked about that enough in kines. All right, same reason we do push-ups. So my example is I had 3 clients here. Everyone's doing push-ups. 2 of them did regular push-ups. One of them has a pretty solid 2 to 3 to 4 push-ups. But if we're doing a set of 10, she knows she'll do 3 regular push-ups and 7 eccentric push-ups, or wherever she can get between 3 and 10. Meaning she's gonna start at the top and just slowly lower herself down to the floor. I don't care how she gets back up to the top, and then go down again. So I'm controlled only with the negative part. So we use this for people who aren't strong enough to do a movement concentrically, so we do it eccentrically. If you're trying to increase your bicep curl, right? Arnold used to talk about doing cheat curls. Well, it wasn't as much about the cheat as it was about just get the weight to the top and then slowly lower the weight and get that negative. All right, remember that eccentric muscle contraction is also going to cause some muscle damage. So if you are looking for muscle hypertrophy and changes in the muscle fibers, an eccentric contraction is a great way to do that. So it's used a lot in bodybuilding. All right, so that's what the eccentric is used for. What faults are we looking for with this one? Typically, that the entire body, the cue that I use is that you start at the top. First, see that they can hold this push-up, right? My scapulothoracic joint is engaged, right? My hips, everything's in line. I want my chest and thighs to hit the floor at the same time. All right, that's what we're looking for there. Again, I don't care how they come up and down again. All right, and what we'll see is maybe their hips drop too fast, right? Maybe they retract, not because they're purposely retracting, but they cannot hold a neutral or protracted position for their scapula, right? And so they may retract prematurely, let's say. They might drop their hips too quickly. Those are primary things you're going to see. Maybe their neck drops a little bit. That's a movement fault. All right. What common movement faults? What else? The bottoms-up push-up. Let's talk about the bottoms-up push-up. The bottoms-up push-up I like. Now, the same way, if someone drops their hips too fast, maybe they just didn't. Maybe their core isn't strong enough. But again, it's not always core strength. It's did they turn it on at the right time? Did they engage or brace their abs at the correct time? If they don't at the beginning, it's hard to kind of readjust. A bottoms-up push-up is testing how well they can lock everything up, brace their core, brace their entire body in that plank position, and then lift up from the bottom. All right, so bottoms-up push-up is testing core timing, core strength, and we're looking at this. What I tell people or cue people to do here is bring your butt up first. Hips come up first. So I go here, and hips come up, and then I press. All right, that's a nice way to, you don't want to exaggerate that too far, but just enough to where you come up. All right, and what you might see is someone peeling off. So someone cannot do that. Instead of the hips, they peel off, up, and then they go here. All right, and look at the position I'm in here. Right, it almost turns it into kind of a decline press, and then I follow through. All right, so you're always looking for When we talked about the joint by joint approach, we're kind of looking for the areas of the body that are typically stable, that are faltering. Maybe the knees don't stay straight or extended. The hip joints or the lumbar spine drops into the lordotic curve or drops too much, or the scapulothoracic joint does not stay kind of neutral or protracted, the shoulder blades squeeze together. Three main movement faults you're looking for with either move. One, you may just see the hips drop fast, or the other one, the chest comes up too early. Then the other one with planks, I said if you walk in, especially when I work with a lot of kids, planks will look like this, right? And we talked about if they can't hold this position, or if they fatigue, remember my abs are gonna fatigue first, so a lot of times I wanna take tension off my abs and put it on my hips. Oh, now my abs just like turned off. And I'm better here, right? And I can hold that, okay? I'm gonna smoke my shoulders, which is no good, but I wanna be in this position here. Final question then is your glenohumeral joint, your frontal plane angle, right? So I call that a capital T, and this is an arrow, right? So that's 90 degrees. Remember, this is 0 degrees abduction, 45 degrees, more or less, 90 degrees. You will find, especially females who tend to be not quite as strong in the upper body as males, that they will immediately go there. And I see this with the guys too. That they feel stronger here, the shoulder joint feels stronger here, but it's just not a great position. You're internally rotated. The shoulder isn't as centrated. You're loading the bicep tendon. You might be impinging your shoulder. All kinds of good might be happening there. So you don't want to be all the way up there. You feel strong, you can do some reps. But I've had some people I don't correct early enough, and months into doing push-ups like this, they end up with bicep tendonitis or some sort of shoulder irritation. But I'm talking too fast. I'm trying to do some working out. So what do we want to do? We want to be at about 45 degrees. You can go here. This is the last thing we talked about. You can go 0 degrees. What that's going to do is relax the pecs a little bit, but it's going to put more pressure on the triceps, so it's going to be tougher, right? But what we want to be careful of is if someone has poor posture or their humerus isn't sitting kind of right in the middle, as they go into that position, they might go forward with this, and now that's a lot of strain. If their humerus goes forward into that position as they're doing a push-up, then they may strain the front of their shoulder, their anterior capsule, their bicep tendon, different things that might be going on there, okay? So as long as they can stay in this position, you can work on this close grip push-up, but ideally we're kind of looking for a happy zone at 30 to 45 degrees, frontal plane abduction of the glenohumeral joint. That was the last question on the sheet, all right? So that should do it. Enjoy, and catch you next time.